This is Daily
Real.
Welcome to DBL. We got a nice, I was going to say threesome, but I meant a group of three here. I apologize.
It's Friday.
It's Friday, guys. It's Friday, and we're feeling a little punchy. Change of gears here. We do want to say Veterans Day is tomorrow. We want to honor, we want to thank all of our military veterans, and may I add, their families for their sacrifice and their service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get to it. As I said, it's Friday. We are a little bit punchy, and we're going to break down the latest emotional episode of The Golden Bachelor. Okay, side of the room. Spoiler alert, Gary is now down to 2 women. This feels weird talking like this. After eliminating a fan favorite last night, y'all, he said goodbye to Faith, who received Gary's first impression rose on night 1. Is that the one he made out with in front of the kid? Yeah. Everyone thought Faith would honestly make it to the end. This was a big surprise, and so did she. They had a tearful reunion on the Women Tell All special. Let's take a look.
You could have walked off with me right then. I'd have been yours for the rest of your life. You know, I felt that safe, and I've never felt that way.
I promised your family something.
I know.
And I broke that promise.
Okay.
That's so awful.
No,
it is. That's awful. I promised them that I would protect your heart.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that.
Okay, so Gary also gave fans a sneak peek at what might go down in the fantasy suites.
People want to know what happens in these fantasy suites.
Oh, my God.
I really love the idea of pillow talk. But yeah, people my age still knock boots.
When's the last time you had sex?
And Leslie, host Jesse Palmer said the finale will be like, quote, unlike anything you've ever seen before. Erica, what do we think of Gary's emotional elimination? Faith?
Well, yeah,
Faith.
I think it's hard because I'm still on team everybody wins.
Okay.
Although you don't really, I mean, you're making connections that like you wouldn't have made otherwise, and they're important connections. And I imagine that like if you connect with someone, like imagine being on Big Brother and connecting with Jordan and then never ever getting to speak to her again. Like that would have sucked. So I'm like, I get it. Well, woulda. So I get it. But I don't know what's going to happen because Faith was the original first impression rose. And then Teresa was the first date.
Right.
So he's had a connection with her the entire time. Now, Leslie, 2 episodes ago, he whispered in her ear, "You're my girl."
Uh-oh.
But he also said that he was going to protect Faith's heart. So I don't know about Gary no more.
Okay, first of all, you're Gary. There's more. Gary also said he would be behind a Golden Bachelorette, and fans think, thank God, that Faith could be a contender. And another possibility is Joan, who left the show early to attend to her daughter who was experiencing, we now know she left, remember her daughter to baby, her daughter was experiencing postpartum depression. So of course we understand her leaving. There's also Ellen, who's the first woman to confess she was in love with Gary. Jeff, first of all, a Golden Bachelorette, yay, nay, and also what would you be feeling if you're Gary? You were in this kind of a show.
Gary needs to dry up the tears a little bit. You know what I mean? He's old school, get a little manly. He doesn't need to cry over everybody that left.
Men don't cry?
Men cry all the time, not every single, I met you 2 weeks ago, we drank out of the same shake. It's like, Gary, I'm getting a little tired of it, man. You know what I mean? I'm getting tired of it. Listen, I'm just being honest.
No, I like it.
But I think they should, listen, we're all like, ooh, what's gonna happen in the fantasy suite? I'm down for like older people doing whatever they want to do, right? And I'm not saying older, like golden years. I would like get that fantasy suite going right away.
Wait, what do you mean?
You know? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you
mean
think
the second you walk in and you do it, or are you saying earlier in the show?
Whenever.
Oh.
Whenever you're feeling it. You know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah, I'm down for a little bachelorette, you know, someone that isn't so emotional, and kind of just, you want to get down to business?
Let's get down to business.
He doesn't have to get emotional over every single one. They just met. They just met,
Yeah,
Erica.
but it was a connection.
There's no connection. There's no connection. I've been on these shows. Gary's hamming it up.
You have ice cold water in your face. No, you're being honest.
If you make it to the end, I get it. But he's drinking milkshakes with people and then crying about it.
I hear you. I totally hear you. Do we have the knocking boots shot or no? Oh, good. He did talk about knocking boots. That's how Gary described the fantasy suite.
I have to say, just based on the conversation about like the perception of when people get older, my father-in-law, shout out to Dave, was he's like, when did I get cute? So all these young women are like, oh, you're so cute. Like, I'm 5. And it's like, I'm a grown man. Like, all of a sudden, like, I'm so cute to everyone.
Dave?
And I'm like, that is so true. People do that all the time to older people. Like, you're so cute.
No.
They're like, I'm older than you. What is that about?
I'm hot.
That means you're old.
Yeah. You want to be hot. Dave, you are hot.
It does.
Look this in the mirror. You're hot, Dave.
You're hot,
Say
Dave.
it again. All right. We're moving on to Robert De Niro's former assistant. We talked about this earlier. She was awarded $1.2 million in her gender discrimination case, but a jury only found his company liable, not Robert himself. Now, in her suit, the former assistant claimed Robert berated her, asked her to do things like, Jeff, wash his sheets and scratch his back. She had originally asked for $12 million for this. Robert also countersued her, but that case was thrown out. His former assistant was also cleared of any financial wrongdoing. Both lawyers for Robert and the assistant claimed victory after the verdict. What do you think about $12 million, Jeff?
It's ridiculous.
That's so stupid.
You know, it's ridiculous.
That's
People
so dumb.
don't make that in 3 lifetimes, you know, and then you're suing for that. Listen, there might be some points that she made on her side. Robert De Niro might have his side. I just don't like the fact that you could sue someone and make up these claims. He asked me to scratch my back.
Wash
We're
his
like
sheets.
at that point,
Right.
you know, and then you kind of get rewarded for it. You ask for $12 million, but you get $1 million.
Which is
That's why you
huge.
ask for $100 million and you get 10, you know? So I don't like awarding this type of behavior, but if it was deserved and he really did berate her in some way, is it still worth $1 million? I get berated every day. Where's my money? I can't even afford my mortgage.
Clip that in the reel.
Yeah.
Where's my, real quick, what do you think, Erica, about this suit?
I think in situations like this where it's a work relationship, but it's also an interpersonal relationship, you have to be really clear about boundaries. And there's really no true playbook for this. If you start off as an assistant and these are your duties, but then you formulate a relationship and duties become other things, I think you just have to be like, hey, this is how the relationship has changed. Go back, make a new contract.
Right.
You're also doing personal things like washing sheets and domestic services.
Right.
I mean, be clear about it.
Right. I said before, both are wrong and both are right here. I think this is a nothing burger. And I think for $300,000, how many sheets do you want me to wash, Mr. De Niro? I'll wash all of your sheets for that
But
much
$1 million isn't a nothing burger.
True.
You know?
I think you're absolutely right. The consequences aren't nothing, and it is getting paid for. And now it's in all the news and all that stuff. I think that if you're my personal assistant making almost close to $500,000, and I ask you to scratch something or get my sheets washed, I don't think that's out of
And
control.
then people who are
I
taken
don't.
advantage of, like by R. Kelly and things, it's like, where's their payout?
Very good
But
point.
it's like, those are real cases.
And it
You know
dilutes
what I mean?
them. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I agree. Let us know if you agree. We have a sweet thing coming up. We're talking with cake boss Buddy Valastro, all about his new show, Legends of the Fork. And Michael J. Fox is talking about how his wife stood by his side with Parkinson's disease, why he said he wouldn't blame her if she left.
How's your husband
Here's
Sharon,
Tari.
How's your husband doing?
He's fine, thank
Good.
you.
Yay.
We gave birth to kidney stones.
Kidney stones are everywhere. We're very happy that
Very
they're
nasty,
out.
nasty.
And make sure you drink your water.
Crabby men.
That's exactly right.
Here's Tori.
Thank you. All right. No one else is here. Take a look, Africa. This is what happens. They all leave. Why? Is this something I do? Let's do a prank, you guys. Let's do a prank, because no one is here.
What type of prank?
Like a prank on these two with the audience. I'm going to say one of you wrote in.
Maybe one day we could put a whoopee cushion on their chair.
Whoopee cushion is a very good idea. Let's come up with more whoopee cushion. What if someone claimed that I need more ideas, guys. I don't know, and I've never done. I've done short sheets on beds in banks.
Dress up like one of your co-hosts.
I could act like Jeff for the whole day and just copy what he says. He doesn't talk to me enough for, I think, to him to catch on, which is really good. Okay, this is Tori. They want you to do all the talking. I agree. Also, need a new show. I'm watching Interrogation Raw, which teaches you how to do an interrogation. It goes through real ones. But I would like to know new shows that anyone's watching. You two, you're very young. Africa, are you watching any show?
I'm kind of weird when it comes to TV.
Yeah, do you have your favorites?
Yeah, I watch a lot of. I'm an anime girl.
Oh, yeah. Anime is so good.
I just
What are you watching?
I just gave you.
She's in the best mood and makes me very happy.
Oh my God.
All right, we need new shows and pranks.
Gotta do payback.
Yeah, help
Gotta
me
do
out.
payback.
Welcome back to DBL. Michael J. Fox is praising his wife, Tracy Pollan, for sticking by his side during his battle with Parkinson's disease. He told CBS Mornings that he would have understood if his wife of 35 years would have wanted to leave him or have an affair. Take a look.
I mean, any time she would have been forgiven, to say, I always just step out, but she didn't do that. She kind of indicated to me by saying for better, for worse, sickness and health, that she was gonna hang out and get me through it, or go through it with me, and she has for 35 years.
Reactions, what do you guys think? That was hard to watch, but also sort of beautiful to watch at the same time.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? What do you think, Erica?
You know how emotional I get about love.
I know. I know. Very sweet.
Yeah, like I could never imagine, like, my husband is like the best husband in the world. Like, I would walk to the end of the earth for that man. So if something happened, those vows are very meaningful. That's very powerful to me, because he would do anything for me and I would do anything for him, and it just doesn't matter, So I can understand, like, it's when you have a connection that's that deep, you can't just walk away,
Mm-hmm. Jeff, what do you think? At some point, though, would you have understood, like, if you were in his place?
Yeah, I understood saying that,
Yeah.
right? If something happened to me, I would understand saying that, but I wouldn't want to know, like, what's going on, right? Like, let's have this conversation. I don't want to talk about it ever again until I'm gonna die. Do whatever you want, right? But at the same time, if it was reversed, I don't know if I would be able to do that act while thinking about my wife.
Right.
Do you know? So that's just who I am as a person. So I see both sides, but I don't know if I was on the other side of that, if I would be able to follow through.
Right.
Whatever she wants to do, whatever they want to do, that's their business. But it's tough, and it's really hard to see Michael J. Fox like that, because I grew up with that guy, and it's like, it's really tough to see him like that.
And the comic timing is still there. You saw him do, like, he could have let, like, the joke. I will say, I have a chronically ill mother with a father that many people said he could have walked at any time, over and over and over again. And for anyone out there, I just want to say, whatever your decision, that's okay. That's really okay, as long as you're both okay with it. Because what you forget is, it's not just like, oh yeah, he has the disease and I stuck with him. It's the minute day to day, the resentment, the nastiness, the horrific things you see. It all becomes less sexy, less romantic, and it becomes a caregiving position, which isn't ever hot, I'll be honest. So whatever decision that they make, for anyone out there, I really understand it. My mom would be absolutely horrified if my dad stepped out, but for families that have no ability to sort of communicate in that way, sex is important, and romance and intimacy is important. And if that's important to you, I just want to say, I don't think that's mentioned. I understand it. We understand it.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. She would say absolutely not to Jerry, but Nope. Coming up on DBL, Buddy Valastro is telling us about his new show where he travels across the country to find great food and the chefs behind it.
Welcome back to DBL. He makes out-of-this-world cakes with his over-the-top family, and now he's traveling the country looking for the perfect bite. Earlier, we spoke with Buddy Valastro. Check it out.
Please welcome to the show the one, the only Buddy Valastro.
Yes.
Hey, Buddy. Well, your new show, Legends of the Fork, is taking you to restaurants across the country. Were there any dishes or recipes that had you stumped?
Well, I got to tell you, man, it was my dream job. I mean, to get out of the factory and go around, and have to go meet amazing chefs and taste delicious food. Now, that's a dream job. I'm just saying. The place that stumped me the most was in Nashville. It was called the Pancake Pantry. And I was talking to the owner, and they were the most fantastic pancakes I ever had, right? And I was trying to, fish around about the recipe, and he's like, I don't even have the recipe. I'm like, what do you mean you have the recipe? You're the owner. He goes, yeah, but that's part of the deal there's only one person who knows the recipe. And, we have to buy a starter from someone else. I'm like, what? And it was pretty amazing, but you hear those things. And it was so much fun to be able to get out, go meet chefs, hear stories like how Al's Italian Beef in Chicago's started out as a cover-up, a bookie joint. And then people really liked the sandwiches, and they grew it into a concept. And what I want to know is, what's the secret sauce? Is it the matriarch, the patriarch, that person, that fixture who's at that place that keeps it churning and burning? Is it the secret ingredients? Is it the razzle-dazzle, the ambiance? What makes these places legendary? And I uncover that and let everybody know the secret sauce.
You've been hanging out with a bunch of family-owned places. Are there any people that you were with where you were like, they remind me of my family?
Oh, there was so many people, that it's all the same. Just seeing the dynamic. And honestly, even if it's not family, people have been at some of these restaurants for years. So they like family. And it's like me being at my factory with my people. They're like my family. I love the people here, and we work together every day, and you just become like a bond,
I'm already interested because I grew up in Chicago, and I never knew that about Al's Beef. And plus, trust me, I've been there plenty of times. I love that joint. But it's very interesting to know. You work with your wife in Buddy Valastro's Cake Dynasty. What's it like working with your wife? Because I also work with my wife a lot, too. And
Hey, I know, I get it. To be honest with you, people always ask me about that. But honestly, we get along. We really do get along. Look, when I did Cake Boss, it was in 2009. I had one bakery. And the dream for me and my dad was to make this bakery a household name. Now you fast forward, right, all these years, and it's me, my wife, and kids, and we want to turn this bakery into an empire. And I mean that in a very humble way. What I mean is I am doing the values that my parents instilled in me, the work ethic, the drive. I'm doing that with my kids, and we're doing that together as a family. To think that I can build something amazing with my kids and have that sense of, wow, look what we did as a family accomplishment, it's a dream come true.
How does he look like that then? There was a key lime pie in my house this weekend, and I was like, well, this is happening. I can't control myself.
Well, I gotta be honest with you. When COVID, man, everybody was just, there was nowhere to go. We were depressed. You just ate. I woke up after COVID, and I was like, man, I'm so fat. I can't even move. I'm like, I got to do something. And people are like, what's the secret? And I was like, look, the first 2 months sucked. I starved myself. I was like, I'm just going to eat one time a day, right? And I'm going to chug water. I intermittent fasting. I ate once a day, and I was drinking 8 bottles of water. And after the first 2 months, I got used to it. And then it's been a year and a half now, and I'm probably down 50 pounds, and I feel great.
Buddy, thank you so much for stopping by to chat with us today. So inspirational. DBL Nation, you can watch both Legends of the Fork and Buddy Valastro's Cake Dynasty on A&E starting on November 11th. Thanks again, Buddy.
Thanks, guys.
November, Sandals is giving thanks with an all-inclusive vacation giveaway to Sandals Resorts. Watch DBL every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyblastlive.com/sandals for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night escape for 2 to any Sandals resort of your choice. The winner will be announced on DBL November 22nd. Today's Sandals word of the day is seashore.
What? When is it going to be breeze? Okay, welcome back. Little changes make a big difference, and that's especially true if you want your car to run forever. That's today's Auto Alert, sponsored by Car Care. First up, change that air filter on a regular basis. Also, pick the right engine oil. Next, get regular car washes in the winter and park your car indoors as much as possible. Car Care is dedicated to providing you with an amazing auto protection plan experience. It works with your budget. If you're looking for better car care, give them a call at 1-800-219-1407. Before we go, I think we have a story that I like. Yes, Jared Leto, and what he did yesterday was special in New York City. He climbed the Empire State Building. That's Jared Leto in a red jumpsuit. He said he's been fascinated with the building since he was a kid, and he did it to announce this season's world tour for his band 30 Seconds to Mars, or 30 Seconds to a Panic Attack, if it were I, right? Jared and his drummer also performed from the top of the building. That's quite the view. Jared has been doing stunts all this time while on tour. Check out what he did in Austin when he bungee jumped into the stage. Thoughts?
I wouldn't even be that drummer just standing on the edge. I wouldn't even be able to stand up there. Like he had ropes and stuff.
But still,
I wouldn't be able to do it.
looking down, you're above the clouds.
There is.
Look at that guy. He's just standing there. Oh, he's got a little rope.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he has a rope. I just went on Instagram to see how many followers Jared has, and he has 11.5 million. He could have just told us there. But also, there's a climbing thing every year in Denver. You should do it. It's like to raise money for some charity. You should do it.
I'm against charities.
So he doesn't like romance or charities, people. He's a keeper.
Get
what
it
a
together,
catch.
Gary.
DBL is new every day. We will see you same time, same place Monday. Be good to yourselves, y'all.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.